Hi guys, and welcome to what will be my first ever commentary style video on my channel. Something a bit different for me. Usually I just upload raw footage to YouTube, but no doubt I'll watch this back afterwards, find it cringy as fuck and never want to do it again. But I'll give it a shot and see how it goes. I still consider myself as a newish player to MX Bikes. I only really got into it about December of last year, so it's maybe six months or so that I've been playing the game, and I feel like I've gone from someone that's not been able to do a lap without crashing to now being able to compete at the top level fairly regularly and even won a few races here and there. So I thought I'd share a few things that have helped me along the way in improving, and hopefully it will do some good for you guys as well. Please note that this is more tailored towards the brand new to intimate level sort of players. I'm not sure if any of the really faster guys would benefit from any of this. If they do, then that's brilliant as well. But as I say, it's more for the newer players to the game. And with all that out of the way, here are my 5 ways to improve on MX Bikes. The first tip I have is not to run before you can walk. One thing that I was guilty of when I started playing the game was downloading the biggest and the best tracks I could find, such as the GPs, the AMA Nationals, all of the replicas, and then getting frustrated that I couldn't do a single fast lap without crashing. One example of this is the Spring Creek or Millville National track. When I first played the track, there's the big uphill in the middle that I couldn't hit without doing a backflip or swapping and crashing every time. Now after playing for a few months, I can easily rip up the hill consistently with no issues at all, and I don't understand how I was making these same mistakes over and over again when I first got the game. I would advise getting familiar with the easier tracks first, such as Forest or MX Club. Once you can run multiple fast laps on these tracks, I feel you can then move on to Maryland or Washington, sort of those intermediate middle ground sort of tracks. It will really help you get a better understanding of the game's physics and how to approach certain obstacles, and eliminating the frustration that I felt when moving on to the hard tracks maybe a bit too early. When learning a track for the first time, it does really help to go slower at first, then progressively speed up as the laps go on, rather than going all guns blazing straight away. The second tip I have is to find what works for you personally. This means what bike you ride, what camera you prefer, what settings you use. Having spent a lot of my time riding 250s in this game, I've tried all of the different brands. Some I find just faster than the others, some turn better, and there's some that I just don't like the look of when playing. I now solely use the Honda or the Kawasaki, and that's all down to personal preference, but I find the Suzuki, the TM, the Alpha are just a bit too slow, and it does sound a bit odd, but the KTM and the Husqvarna, the front fender on them puts me off when playing as I play first person. It's a weird thing, but at the end of the day I think it's all about personal preference, and if it helps you go faster in the game, then what does it matter anyway? Next is the cameras. I've spent many hours in all 3 cameras in this game. The first few months I was strictly a third person rider. This is because it was all I was used to on the previous MX games I've played, such as MX vs ATV Reflex, MXGP and MX Simulator. Then I switched to first person just to give it a shot and see how it feels in this game, and then slowly but surely started dropping my lap times. I'm now most comfortable with the second of the 2 first person camera settings. I just find it helps me stick to all of my lines better and help me be more consistent overall, at the expense of not being able to see the cool whip animations, of course, from third person. And lastly in this section is the settings. I've watched many videos of people's setups. I've copied them, I've tried doing my own. It wasn't until I sat down in testing and spent a good couple of hours tweaking my own settings and found out what works best for me that I really started to improve at the game. There's no one size fits all when it comes to settings, so just like the bikes and the cameras, it's all about experimenting until you get the right fit. Once you find something that you're happy with for all 3, that's when the real improvements can begin. My third tip on the list is to join some public servers. A lot of servers seem to have the same people in it day to day, so it's a good way of getting to know people, and you might find some people that you end up playing with on a daily basis. It's also a brilliant chance to watch people that are faster than you or try to latch onto the back of them on the track and follow them around. You might find lines that you never even thought of before. And another goal that I always try to go for is to set the best lap time in the lobby. I myself am always hopping into the replay camera. If someone's a second or 2 lap faster than me, I want to see if they're doing anything different than I am or if they're just hitting something faster. And at the end of the day, there is always something to be learnt from watching, no matter who it is. Tip number 4 is to get involved into the community. Take part in championships such as PDMX, PDSX, or go to mymxb.com where there's races hosted almost every day, All of these series are professionally run and involve a practice, qualifying and racing format. It's a great way to add some competition to the game and gives you something to work towards each week. No matter what speed you are, it can be used as both motivation or as a way to gauge your improvements each week to week based off of qualifying position or race position. I'll leave some links in the description to where you can find these series, and I highly recommend taking part. My last tip for the video, tip number 5, is to again just try things. This time I'm talking about on the track though, rather than in the settings. There's a limit to how fast you can hit the same line lap after lap after that, and one thing that really helps, especially when it comes to races, is to try different lines. Look at this clip that I've put in the background as a good example. This is the exact same section being taken 4 different ways. All 4 are similar speed, however when it comes to the race time and there's multiple people in the way or in different lines, it pays to not follow the other riders. You'll also avoid being caught up in any crashes and bikes cartwheeling around, whilst feeling confident to get out of the normal racing line if you need to. And those were my 5 tips for improving at MX Bikes. Hopefully you found at least one of these helpful. I wanted to stay away from specific riding techniques as such, as I don't believe that there's just one way to go fast in this game. If you have found this helpful, please do give the video a like and feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to get a bit more active on YouTube now and would love to have you stick around. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace.